And she was like, "You come fast." I was like, "Okay, and at least I know what it feels like to come." You know what I mean? All right, we are back with another Drive Across 65, Season 1, Episode 15, recapping an insane college football weekend. College football is back. We had a winning weekend. We're not going to throw a parade any more than we're going to jump up off a bridge if we were to have a bad weekend. But nevertheless, something to talk about. We had a good weekend. College football is back. We had the Hail Mary in the App State game. The LSU Mississippi State game. Mississippi State player got hurt, and you got the he's a pussy chant from the LSU student section, so stay classy. Two of Houston's players got into a fight on the sideline during the Kansas game. I've already apologized for my Kansas take. Had the under 2.5 team total, and they are 3-0 on the season. I've already apologized. I've already done it. I was wrong. Rock chalk. You guys will start backing you. I was wrong. Hand up. I was wrong. But yeah, two wide receivers for Houston. They got in the fight. But the most important story coming out of college football, shout out to Nebraska. Nebraska is back. The movie is being made. The miraculous comeback kid, Mickey Joseph, wrote his storybook ending. He got his revenge on Oklahoma against the team that ended his career. What an awesome story. What? Do what? Nebraska lost? No. Nebraska lost? I already had the story written. It was already written. I just needed the final score. They lost? So officially the story that we're not going to talk about, Nebraska lost. We had a good weekend. We did mention Oklahoma was good and they should run the score up, and they did. Oh, Lord, they did. So Nebraska comes out. They stop Oklahoma. Oklahoma goes 5-0. They come out and score. Nebraska turns around and scores, and it's building. It felt so good. It was such a great feeling. It was exactly what we needed, and that was it. After that, Oklahoma was like, oh yeah, we're Oklahoma. Again, I did mention that I thought they should run up the score, and I would if I were them, but I thought Nebraska would put up a fight first half. Instead, it lasted 3 drives. And then the most college football is back story. Urban Meyer is getting contacted for the Nebraska job. There is absolutely zero morals in college football. Urban Meyer, so he said that it's the best fan base that he's ever coached against, yada, yada, yada. Big pandering, but wow, man. They reached out and contacted him. That's crazy. So let's talk about some wins, talk about some losses, recap the weekend, successful weekend. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're not going to throw any parades. Successful weekend. Sandhagen, if you guys watched that fight, it was brutal. Song got split over his eye, and the fight medic just kept let him keep going. He didn't care. It was a nasty, nasty split. First or second round, he got looked over. Third round, fourth round, had his cut guy stitching him up, taping him together. Nothing. Got nothing. Sandhagen won. Shout out to Preston, Travis, and Trevor, our UFC guys. Shout out to you guys. Love you guys. We are booking wins. We'll get there again this weekend. Let us bounce back to college football. So Michigan, first quarter, never in doubt. Obviously never in doubt. Again, to say UConn, Still hasn't scored in the first quarter of a game. I think they have more turnovers in the first half of any of their games than they do points. It's pretty crazy. We're going to look at Michigan for the weekend. I believe they're done with their non-conference, but I don't know if rolling Michigan first quarter is going to be something that we're going to do in the future. Western Kentucky, Indiana. Indiana squeaked it out. Who's your daddy? WKU had the lead at halftime. We had them plus the points. We didn't need any help. It did go into overtime. We did mention that we liked the over there. It squeaked by 2. The 62 got there, so if you took that, shout out. Syracuse, the pick that I was the most worried about, went to the last 17 seconds or the last 7 seconds of the game. Purdue is good. Like they lost to Penn State, they lost to Syracuse, both road games. Syracuse is good. They fought, they battled. Syracuse, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. Just there was a punt that hit off a kid's shoulder pad from behind. Goofy penalties, giving up 3rd and longs. Credit to Braum and Purdue, they were ready. Syracuse, all the mistakes, and was only down 6 at halftime. Shout out to them, man. That pick covered. It actually might have gone off at 1.5 or 2. We got them as a pick as far as this podcast goes. Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, under 62.5. Never in doubt. So here's the rule. If this game had lost, let's say Ole Miss puts up 63 points. Georgia Tech didn't score. And that's the whole rule, okay? If you bet an under and one team didn't score, you did right. You did your job. You did your due diligence. I mean, anticipating a 42-0 score is kind of tough. You're expecting Georgia Tech to put up 1 or 2 touchdowns at least. Would have got them to maybe 56-ish and been a score off. 42-0, Ole Miss. Under was good. UTSA, you ain't got no alibi, no cover. Yeah, no cover. It was a great game until the pick 6. Texas got a pick 6, and it separated them. And UTSA was in quicksand after that. Nothing you could do about it. They were good for covers for a while. Texas is back. Maybe Texas is back. As far as the NFL goes, poor Trey Lance, man. So Trey Lance broke his ankle. He's out for the season. Never fear. Jimmy G is here. He crushed it. Jimmy G looked really good. He looked like this was his redemption tour. Awkwardly enough, he's still there for the same team that he signed a huge contract for, and now he's going to be playing the same minutes for a discount for 50% off. That's pretty gross. Let's talk about some of those games. We had a good weekend. We're not going to throw a parade about it. We're not going to throw a parade. We had a good weekend, though. First one out of the gate was pretty gross. Browns, Jets, under. Maybe Jacoby Brissett comeback season. We'll talk about the Browns some more towards the end of the podcast. The Thursday night game, Browns, Steelers. Maybe Jacoby Brissett comeback tour. I'm still not sold on it. Spoiler alert. The Chunt, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, their new nickname, they're buying in. They love it. That's pretty funny. I'm a fan of it. I think it's funny. They did their thing. They scored a ton of points. Didn't see it coming. Bad read, bad pick. My bad. Hand up. I'll take that one. We still won the weekend. We're not going to throw a parade. Rams, Falcons. We had that over. Went way over. Looked a little sketchy to start the game. There was a missed field goal by the Falcons. Rams come back, turned around, and scored. I believe it was some ridiculous 28-3 or something at halftime, something bad. But the Falcons, they dug in. They got their scores. They got some turnovers. That over hit. Jaguars, So we called a hot route. I shouldn't have put this in the middle of my list, but we'll talk about it now. We called a hot route. We had a weather game. Jaguars, Colts. The Colts might not be good. They might not be good. That's really bad. We did have the Jags to win the AFC South at 7-1. Shout out. It's at 3-1 right now. If you still want to try to hit the bandwagon. We called a hot route. Michael Pittman Jr. was out. There was a little bit of rain down in Jacksonville. We like the Jags anyway. Getting points at home. Didn't know it would be that kind of score. But nevertheless, hot route. Called the audible at the line. Jags +3 got there. Lions money line. I have it written down here. Lions money line, never in doubt. And that's how we're going to look at the whole games. It was never in doubt. Shout out to the Lions, man. Shout out to Dan Campbell. Shout out to Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks made us fall in love with the Lions, and some of the reason why maybe we bet them, maybe we have a little bias. Shout out to the Lions money line. Raiders had control of the entire game. They were up 20-0 at one point. They were up 16 with 8 to go in the fourth. Let that sink in for a second. You need 5.5, and you're up 2 scores, potentially 3, with 8 minutes left. I get it. The Cardinals were scratching and crawling to get back. You give up a touchdown right there and maybe a 2-point conversion. I understand. But you're still up 8. Not only did they not cover, they lost the game in brutal fashion. I feel like my Raiders take is crumbling in front of me, and I want it to win. I still want it to be right. We have to look back. We have to reevaluate it. Devontae Adams can't do it on his own. I understand. But then when you try to share the ball, you give it to Renfro, and he's fumble-matic. I mean, he's just hot potato. There was one. So the Raiders were up 8, 4th and goal, 20 seconds left, and the Cardinals did get bailed out by a phantom flag. Nevertheless, okay, I'm never going to blame one single play, one single penalty on any game, but that was a phantom flag. Cardinals did get bailed out. The Raiders shouldn't have been in that position. There's no reason they should be playing for the game on 4th and goal right there. You're up 16 with 8 minutes left. There's no reason. There's no reason you put yourself in that position. Vikings. The Vikings. I wrote in some jokes about primetime Kirk Cousins. It really wasn't as much of his fault as I wanted it to be. There were some huge dropped passes. I'm not going to pretend to remember who the wide receiver was, but Kirk just put it in the bucket, and the bucket had a hole in it, and it just fell out. There were some sketchy calls, man. I love Joe Buck. I love Troy Aikman, but they were definitely defending the Eagles. The game was in Philly. The crowd was into it, and I guess they were too. There were some obvious calls in front of officials that weren't called, that were 3rd and long, 3rd and short, 3rd and whatever situations that definitely changed the game. Again, I'm not going to blame any particular play or any particular penalty on the whole game, but there were a lot. Now, Kirk Cousins, if you look at his stat line, you're going to see a couple interceptions and fumbles and yada. All came really in the second half. He played a great first half of football. O'Connell needs to rely on Cook more, I feel like. I don't think that he is utilizing Dalvin to his full potential. And credit to the Eagles, they are good. Hurts is a tough quarterback to play against. He's hard to defend, but you just come off a week playing against the Packers, who may not be good, but you just come off a week playing against the Packers, one of the, if not the smartest quarterbacks in the league. Feel like you could game plan for Hurts a little bit more. We lost the Vikings game. It sucks. But again, we had to win the weekend. We're not going to throw a parade for it, but we had a good weekend. Oh, Texans Broncos under 46 auto bet. That game was sort of a joke. We'll look at it this weekend. I'm not sure who the Texans play, but I'm sure that the under will be on auto bet. Shout out to the weather game again. The weather in Jacksonville. So let's move on to the Thursday night game. Let's talk about it. I mentioned before, it might be a Jacoby Brissett comeback season. I'm not completely sold on it. They have the Steelers Thursday night game. This game opened up at 6. It's down to 5, maybe 4.5 some places. Really weird game. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. It's a divisional rivalry game. Both teams have been playing their opponents close to the end, or at least making it look close at the end. 5 is a lot for these two teams, especially with it being a divisional rivalry game. It's potentially a weather game too. That might be a daily pick. We might come out Thursday and call an audible at the line. I don't think there's going to be a lot of throws in this game. Again, we mentioned Chunt, the Chubb Hunt connection. Those two-headed monster, that name combined, it's really clever. Don't anticipate a lot of throws in this game. The under might be a play. It's feeling like a play. And the Browns have a laundry list of injuries. Tight end out. I believe Jesse James is out. A couple other guys that are out. It's really making me, and the line opening up at 6 and dropping, or 5.5 and dropping as much as it did, really making me lean Steelers. That's going to be a play Thursday night for sure. Not to look ahead too far. I hate doing this. I don't want to get start blabbering out picks before I've done due diligence. Texans and Bears, that total, it will probably be an auto bet. No spoilers here. 40.5 in Chicago. That one we might have to do some research on. 40.5. Not sure. Colts, Chiefs, red flags everywhere. And I'm throwing a challenge on it right now. Really weird game. Kansas City's minus 6.5. That tells me that the sports books are leaning Colts and know that the public is going to bet the Chiefs. It's in Indianapolis. They're 0-1-1. Shout out to the Texans under in that game. Ended in a tie. Not to get too ahead of ourselves, but the Colts might, home dog, not road dog of the week, but the Colts might be our pick. Plus 6.5 at home. There's no reason they're only giving up 6.5 to the Chiefs, unless the sports books are doing some kind of reverse psychology, something that, I don't know. Lions, Vikings, that's going to be sick, and it's going to split my heart in two places trying to figure out that game. That's all we got. We got some Thursday night, Friday night college football games. I'm going to dive deeper into it. Don't have a side on. The Louisville game Friday night, we split it. They lost the game 1.5. We did give a side on the Wyoming game. They ended up winning straight up, I believe, and was getting 14 or 15. We did talk about that. We said that it opened at maybe 17 and dropped to 15, just in the all the sharp money was coming in on Wyoming. It didn't make any sense. That's why they went straight up. If you just watch the lines, give you guys just a little taste of how my brain works. If you watch the lines, you see where it opens, you see what happens immediately after, you watch it through the week, and you watch how it closes. The only way this bites you in the butt is if you don't pay attention. You have to know what's going on. You have to see it. Just like the Steelers game, opened high, dropped low. I like the Steelers where it's at right now. We're going to see where it moves Thursday for the total. If you watch that Air Force game, Air Force Wyoming, opened 17, dropped to 15. Through the week, it went back up a little bit. The public came in. Fade the public, bet with the sports book. This is the Drive Across 65, Season 1, Episode 15, wrapping up. Short video, give y'all a little bit of content, a little bit of thoughts towards the Thursday night game. We did have a win week. We're not going to throw a parade for it. Season 1, Episode 15, hashtag Drive Across 65. Pineapples still do not go on pizza. Good luck, everybody.